Hey everyone, Rob here. And today I want to talk about music genres of the 90s. Now, really my very favorite decade for music is the 1960s. And that's because of course the Beatles, the Stones, Jimi Hendrix, and on and on, those groups were formed in the 1960s. But one of my very favorite runner up decades for music is the 1990s. And I believe that there was a lot of experimentation going on in the 90s decade that you saw in the 60s. Lots of different genres of music, lots of different styles, all blended together. And for those of you out there that think only grunge was released in the 1990s, there's a lot more music out there than just grunge. And all of these CDs are proof of that I'll feature here today. Anyway, today from the 1990s, I'm going to feature 6 different female artists that are among my very favorites in the 1990s decade. Some of these got their start a little earlier than 1990s, but I believe some of their very best releases were, of course, in the 1990s. And I think that a lot of them hit their stride in the 1990s. So anyway, there's a couple of things that a lot of these share in common. First of all, 5 of the 6 female vocalists that I'm going to share with you today, I've seen in concert all back in the 90s. Second of all, 4 of these 8 CDs that I've got to share with you today share one fantastic mastering engineer. And who is that? Well, that is Bob Ludwig. And he is featured on not 2, not 3, but yes, 4 different CDs that I'm going to feature today. I didn't plan it like that, honest to goodness. It just kind of fell that way when I picked out my favorite artist. Bob was on a lot of these CDs. So that will give you a heads up as to the great sound quality that a lot of these have. Anyway, with that said, we're going to go ahead and get started with my first artist today. This is a female artist who came out with, this was her first full release, although she had done a couple of EPs before this. Who am I talking about? Well, this is heathernova Oyster from 1995. I do consider this her debut CD just because it was her first full-length CD. And to me, this is her magnum opus. I think it's the best thing that Heather has ever done. And she just she just hit it out of the park with this one. This is her magnum opus. This is the top of the line as far as her releases go. Now, Heather was born in Bermuda, and she lived a large portion of her early years on her dad's 44-foot sailboat cruising around the Caribbean. Tough life, huh? But anyway, that's where she got her start. Now, Heather has also done 5 movie soundtracks, so you might be familiar with some of the soundtracks that she has appeared on with other artists. Now, this is a fantastic CD. It's got clearly audiophile sound quality, and in my mind, this is a perfect CD. It just flows. There's no skippable tracks whatsoever. But I do have some very favorites on this. The first one is Island, and that song is a very powerful song about physical abuse that she suffered either at the hands of a former husband or her boyfriend. And for anybody that knows somebody that has gone through this, this is really powerful stuff. And Heather, the way she formulates that concept on this album is really stunning. And then some of my other favorites on here, Truth and Bone, and then 2 of them that I think are wonderful back to back are tracks 9 and 10, and that's Walking Higher and Light Years. And then finally, she finishes out the CD with Doubled Up. Now I'm going to go back to Walking Higher. This is a fantastic song, and it's one of my very favorites, certainly my very favorite from Heather. And for anybody out there that has lost a loved one, maybe a mom or a dad or some very close friend, this is a very touching and poignant song. It is about a loss in Heather's life, and it's just a mesmerizing song, truly haunting and beautiful lyrics. So if you have not heard this CD, do give it a try because Heather is a wonderful artist. I would call her a combination of pop, of rock, maybe a little bit of alternative, but very melodic, very really passionate with her lyrics. So heathernova, Oyster, fantastic release. Now, this second artist I want to bring to you today is one of my very favorites, and I would rank this as a desert island CD for me. If I had to gather up, oh, let's say 10, 15 of my favorite CDs, this would certainly be one of them. This one came out in 1993. Who am I talking about? Well, this is Sarah McLachlan, Fumbling Towards Ecstasy. Now, Sarah is a Canadian singer-songwriter, and one thing that all of these artists that I'm bringing to you today share in common, they are all wonderful singer-songwriters. Every one of them can write beautiful, haunting lyrics, and they all play an instrument, most guitar, but some piano and guitar. And Sarah's one of those that I've seen her play guitar, and I've also seen her play piano as well. I've seen Sarah in concert 3 times, and I've got something I want to share with you about this segment about Sarah toward the end. But anyway, what makes this CD so special with Sarah, I liken this as a song cycle. This is really, in a lot of ways, a concept album. It starts out, the first song is Possession, and for a lot of you out there that are Sarah fans, you probably already know this, but she had a stalker for a while, and she wrote this song about a person that had been stalking her. And she talks about some of the things that she's gone through with that, and how it's almost like an anchor weighing down on your leg, dragging that around with you, just knowing and hoping that that person's not lurking around the corner. But this was a big song, a big hit off of this CD for her, one of her very best hits of all time. And it wraps up at the end with Fumbling Towards Ecstasy and Fear. And the reason why I call this a song cycle, because in the way that it's a concept album, Sarah cycles through a lot of emotions on this. And one of her songs on here is, which one is it? Fear. It is the next to the last song on here, and oh my gosh, it's just fantastic. And that combined with Fumbling Towards Ecstasy, the last song on this, well, the last song on the back cover that says it's on here, but we'll get to that in a minute. But anyway, there are just no skippable tracks here. This is a flawless, perfect CD. It's just from beginning to end, it just flows. And Sarah is really at the top of her game here. Fumbling Towards Ecstasy was her 3rd release that she had done, and you can kind of see how, as a singer-songwriter, she was really maturing and writing some fantastic lyrics and certainly some killer music. So, wonderful CD by Sarah, one of the very greats of the 1990s, and that is Fumbling Towards Ecstasy. Now, I've seen Sarah in concert 3 times. I've seen her twice at the Mura in downtown Indianapolis, and I've also seen her at what used to be called Verizon. Well, it used to be called Deer Creek, I think, and then it was later turned into Verizon. I don't even know what they call it now. But I've seen her there with the Chieftains, and a couple of things I want to share with you today. And I've got a couple of ticket stubs to concerts that I saw with Sarah, and this is the first one here. And this was when she was touring supporting her Fumbling Towards Ecstasy album. And this was Wednesday, March 15th, 1995 at the Murat Theater. This was, and still to this day is, the greatest concert I've ever seen in my life. Paula Cole opened for her, and that duo was just absolutely killer back in 95. And Sarah, I mean, that concert was magical. It was just one of those concerts, you know how when you go to something, it's just like time stands still. It's just fantastic. And that was one of them. Now the next one, this is another Sarah McLachlan ticket stub. And this is when she appeared at the, well, it used to be called Deer Creek Center, but it's now Verizon, I believe. And this is with the Chieftains. And this was back on Wednesday, July 26th, 1995. So, like I said, Sarah in concert was wonderful. And I guess she's touring right now to support a new album. Okay, we're going to move on now to another artist. And this one here, she won a Grammy, actually several Grammys for this release right here. And I've also had the pleasure of seeing her in concert. Now, who am I talking about? Well, this is Shawn Colvin, A Few Small Repairs. Now, this came out in 1996, and this is Bob Ludwig as the mastering engineer on here, and Bob did a sensational job. This has wonderful sound quality, fantastic, and this is really a concept album by Shawn about divorce. She was going through a divorce at the time with her husband, and you can hear some of that pain and anguish in some of the lyrics on there. She won a Grammy on this for Best Pop Album and Song of the Year, and also Record of the Year. Now, this is her fourth album release, and to me, this is Shawn Colvin's magnum opus. Just like the previous two artists that I've shared with you, Shawn, this is, I think, the best thing she's ever done. It is absolutely fantastic, and like I said, the sound quality is top-notch. Bob Ludwig did the mastering on this, and he did a fantastic job. Now, the first two songs on this, Sonny Came Home and Get Out of This House, were two huge hits by Shawn Colvin. And fantastic stuff, both of those songs. One is more of a ballad, the other one is more rock and kind of a rocker. And some of the other favorites that I've got on here, You and the Mona Lisa, let's see, Wichita Skyline, absolutely killer. My very favorite song on this, however, is 84,000 Different Delusions. Oh my gosh. It's atmospheric, it's mesmerizing, the lyrics are sensational. It's just like a timeless ballad. And my goodness, with Bob Ludwig mastering that sound, it is absolutely killer. And that's one of my very favorites. And Suicide Alley, song number 10 on here, is another killer track. But once again, I've got to say, this is a perfect CD. No skippable tracks. It is very melodic. It's very tuneful. And there's just not a bad song on this. It just flows. To me, the best thing that Shawn Colvin ever did, for sure. So, anyway, I've got a story to tell you about Shawn Colvin. Like I said, I saw her in concert, and I saw her in concert supporting this very album. And what was interesting is, during some of her songs, she stopped for a brief pause and had an interaction with the audience. And she was talking about this movie that had just came out, and she was asking the audience if they had seen it. I had not. I'd never even heard the movie until she brought it up. But she said that her lead guitarist could actually emulate Billy Bob Thornton and his voice. Now, what movie are we talking about? This was Sling Blade. And her lead guitarist did a Billy Bob Thornton impression that just made us all roll. Had to see the movie and saw it shortly thereafter at the concert. And wow, if you've not seen Sling Blade, you got to see it because it is one powerful movie, and it's just heart wrenching in parts, but it's also a wonderful movie thereof. Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to do my Billy Bob Thornton impression from Sling Blade. So here we go. This is when he was just released out of prison and he was going to try to enter life as a regular citizen. And the first thing he wanted to do was stop and get him something to eat at a drive in. And this is what he says as he steps up to the window. What you got that's good to eat in there? You got in there French fried taters? I like taters, especially when they're French fried. Mm-hmm. Anyway, that's my Billy Bob Thornton impression. Now, I also have something else to share with you for Shawn Colvin. This is my ticket stub. I saw her again at the Murat Theater in downtown Indianapolis, and this was in support of her A Few Small Repairs CD. This came out on July 11th, 1995. 1995 was a big concert year for me. I went to several that year. So anyway, that's my bit on Shawn Colvin. Now, this next artist is, she came out, and I think her debut CD came out around 1985. And she is one of those artists that when she sings, she actually has this kind of lyrics that evoke visual images. And you can actually picture in your mind what she's singing about. And this is a truly gift that not a lot of artists actually have. Who am I talking about? Well, this is Suzanne Vega, 9 Objects of Desire. Sorry about the glare. Now, this is my favorite CD by Suzanne. And Suzanne has done some great other CDs. 99.9 degrees Fahrenheit was the CD that preceded this one, and it received critical acclaim, but this one did as well. Both of those back-to-back CDs really had a lot of the critics swooning at the time. Now, something that you need to know is Bob Ludwig also mastered this CD. Wonderful, warm, rich sound quality. Suzanne's voice is in the room with you. It's just got a sensational sound to it. On this CD, Suzanne has a heavy influence from her personal life. And that's really one of the first times on a CD that she actually did that. Many times her songs are not really necessarily about her own life, but about other things in general. Now, the song on here, Caramel, which is a fantastic track, it was actually based on the bossa nova style and sound, and it was influenced by Astrid Gilberto from many years ago and back in the 1960s. Her lyrics evoke Astrid in a lot of ways, her presentation and the way she does it. I would liken this as it's pop for sure, but it's also got elements of folk and it's also got some alternative rock too. And like I said, the song Caramel has some bossa nova in it. Fantastic. This is a wonderful CD, and there are no skippable tracks on this. Every song just flows. Suzanne has a great gift for melody and very tuneful, and her vocals on here are very sensual. They're very sexy and highly appealing. So Suzanne is not known as one of those singers that belts out lyrics. She's more soft, more laid back in her delivery, and this is no different, but it's got that element to it that might be unique compared to some of her other CDs. Now, some of my very favorites on here. Birthday is actually a song about the birth of her first child. And let's see, I would say, Oh my gosh, Caramel is one of my favorites on here. Um, Casual Match, sensational. Thin Man, this kind of likens to the Thin Man movies back in the 40s, kind of the detective series. No Cheap Thrill, excellent, excellent song. The World Before Columbus, really, you can just kind of imagine what that's about, but just harkening back to our past and how our nation has changed. Um, my favorite Plum, the song ends the album, and this song, if you listen to those lyrics, again, it evokes all these great images. And Suzanne truly has a gift for that. When she sings lyrics, you can almost picture in her mind the visuals of what she's describing. Great, great stuff. So, Suzanne has never been a hugely popular artist, but she's a great artist and she is flying below the radar of a lot of people, but you shouldn't let that happen because she deserves more attention. So do give this CD a listen. It is a fantastic one. Suzanne Vega, Nine Objects of Desire. Okay, now these last two artists I'm going to present to you today, I really struggled with this because both of them have two CDs in the 90s. I just couldn't decide which one I was going to offer. So I said, what the heck? I'm going to offer both of them. So these last two artists, I have not one but two selections for them. The first one that I'm going to present today, this is one that just about everybody should know about. This is Sheryl. This is her second CD, and it is self-titled Sheryl. Now, Sheryl probably doesn't need a lot of introduction, but I do want to remind you that these next two CDs by Sheryl are mastered by Bob Ludwig, and the sound is absolutely fantastic. Warm, rich, great sounding vocals, all the instruments just flawless. It's Bob at his finest. Um, Now, Sheryl is a very talented singer songwriter, and she has won 9 Grammys over the years. Yes, you heard that right, 9 Grammys. Both CDs that I'm going to feature today have at least 1 or 2 Grammys that she was awarded for these CDs. Now, how Sheryl got her start, what's interesting is she started out, believe it or not, as a music teacher in elementary school. And that's kind of interesting because I myself am a former, not music teacher, but I'm a former elementary school teacher myself. So I can kind of relate to that as Sheryl goes. Sheryl and I also share something else in common. We're both the same age. We were both born in 1960. Now, also, um, Sheryl was known before she really hit it big. She sung a couple of commercials for McDonald's and for Toyota, and that's how a lot of people first discovered her, hearing her voice on these two commercials. Now, she was also known, and this is what really kind of accelerated her into the big time. She actually toured with Michael Jackson during his Bad concert, and she was a backup vocalist for Michael Jackson during the Bad concert series. So after that, then Sheryl became a soloist and got her band together. And she actually came out with her first release, Tuesday Night Music Club. I think it was around 93 or 94. But anyway, it was a huge success. I think she had 4 hits off of that CD. As good as that is, I think the two that I've got to present to you today, I like even better than that, if that tells you anything. So, some of my favorites on this, it is songs 2, 3, and 5, and it's really hard to read on here. A change is going to do you good. Maybe, well, I'll tell you what, these are so hard to read. Let me read them off the CD. Maybe Angels, A Change, Now, the song Home is one of my favorite songs by Sheryl of all time. It is a wonderful, heartwarming ballad, and you got to hear it to really appreciate it for what it is. If It Makes You Happy, another huge hit off of this release 4. Maybe Angels, another favorite of mine on here. And of course, A Change, that was a huge hit for. And like I said, this is a fantastic CD. Now, I'm not going to call this Sheryl magnum opus because as good as this is, and I think Sheryl is at the top of her game with this CD and the next one, there is one release that came a little later in her career that to me is her magnum opus. But if you've not heard this self-titled Sheryl, you must give it a listen because this is easily one of the best things she ever did. Now, the next one from Sheryl, this is the follow-up to her self-titled second release, and this one is the Globe Sessions. I really struggled with this one and her self-titled Sheryl album because they're both equally good. They're just different, but they're both equally good, and both of them are perfect CDs in every respect, no skippable tracks, every song highly melodic, they just flow, there's good song-to-song consistency, and it's just Sheryl at the top of her game. Now, her first song on this, My Favorite Mistake, was a huge hit, and another song, Sheryl has this kind of ability to, even though she's singing about some down topics or some sad things, they all sound upbeat and they all sound like they're rockers. And Sheryl has that unique ability to do that. The next one was There Goes the Neighborhood. Oh my gosh, killer song. Great driving song too, by the way. Maybe That's Something. Wonderful song, one of my very favorites on here. Am I Getting Through? This is a rocker. It is a fantastic song. Displays that wonderful dynamic range that Bob Ludwig has put on this CD. Let's see, Crash and Burn, the last one. And then Members Only, the next to the last song on the album. Kind of a tongue-in-cheek look at the 80s and how everybody was wearing members-only jackets. I'll have to say, I had them myself. So what can I say? But anyway, fantastic CD by Sheryl. She is, alongside my next artist, one of my very favorite singer-songwriters of all time, and certainly of the 90s. Sheryl, The Globe Sessions. Okay, I know this is a little longer than my normal videos, and I do apologize, but I had too many that I wanted to share with you for today. Now this next one, I just saw her in concert last week. I've seen her at the Vogue 30 years apart, and I saw her in about 1995, and then just about a week ago. And who am I talking about? This is Aimeemann, and this one is I'm With Stupid. Now this is, to me, one of Aimee's great albums, and I would rank it in her top 3 solo releases, not with Till Tuesday, but after she went solo. And this was the second solo that she did after her first release, Whatever, in the early 1990s. Now this one came out in 1995, and Michael Penn sings on this with her. And this is a fantastic CD. Aimee has that gift. Her lyrics are sensational. They're the kind that make you want to stop dead in your tracks and really listen for what she's got to say, because she does have a lot to say. And her lyrics are deep and powerful and mesmerizing as well as moving. So some of my favorite songs on here. You Could Make a Killing, fantastic. One of my very favorites, number 5, is Super Bowl. Oh my gosh, the visual imagery of that song is so good. And that's Aimee's songwriting at its very peak. All Over Now, very, very good song. Let's see, another one on here is Frankenstein. And number 11, that's the track Frankenstein. Oh, wow. It is sensational. Again, Aimee at the top of her game. So for those of you that are Aimee fans and you've never heard this, do give this a listen because it is, again, one of my top 3 favorite Aimee CDs of all time. Wonderful stuff. I'm with Stupid. Okay, my last one on here is another Aimee release. A lot of people believe this might be the very best thing she ever did, and I'm not going to argue with that. It is certainly in my top 3 favorite Aimee CDs of all time. What am I talking about? Well, this is Bachelor number 2. Now this came out at the tail end of the 90s. This is from 1999. And again, on this one, Michael Penn is her husband, and he does some backup singing on this as well as guitar playing. And Aimee had also, right before this was released, she had written several songs and performed on the Magnolia soundtrack, the Magnolia movie soundtrack, and that really bolstered her career because one thing she shares in common with, Suzanne Vega is the fact that she's an artist that flies under the radar with a lot of people. Now, she's got a huge following, but mainstream-wise, a lot of people have never heard of Aimee, and they really should because she is one of the most talented singer-songwriters out there. And this CD is Aimee at the top of her game. Just simply fantastic. Great sound quality, warm, rich, great vocals, nice solid bass. Let's see, some of my favorites on here. I think probably my favorite is Red Vines, track number 3. Wow. Aimee at the top of her game. Lyric-wise, doesn't get any better than that. Deathly, song number 6, killer track. Calling It Quits, number 8, is easily a tie with me with Red Vines for the best song on this, and that one is just sensational. One of my all-time favorites by Aimee. And I could go on and on and on. Her last song on here is You Do, a great way to finish this album out. But if you have not heard this, do give it a try. Aimee is sensational and certainly deserves your attention because she's a fabulous artist. Aimeemann, Bachelor number 2. All right, I want to apologize to everybody. I know this has gone a little long today, so I do apologize for that. I figured it might because I had 8 CDs and 6 artists to feature today. But anyway, thank you for those of you that have stayed around and watched this video. I do really greatly appreciate your support and your viewing for my channel. And I do appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to listen to what I've got to present to you today. Please do, if you enjoy what you've seen today and what you've heard today, do hit the like and subscribe buttons because that really helps my channel to bring all of these wonderful releases to you. So I'm going to end it here. Thank you so much, folks, and take care and happy music listening. Until next time.